What's up, people? Before I get into the title of the video is part 2. It's weird. We as a people of color wasn't taught our nationality, part 2. Before I get off into talking about what I really want to talk about, because I think I probably want to read some things. I'm pretty sure the video is going to be kind of long, but I want to get off into some things. I just heard, there was some thing I was discussing with somebody about before I came live, went live. And the way I came up, I had a very poor education. As far as even poor education, when I was being delivered and when I was born, there was a tragedy happened while I was being delivered. You know what I'm saying? The doctors they clamped my head too hard, from what I was told. As the doctor was pulling on me, I think somebody told me that the doctors was pulling on me too hard. And yeah, I mean, yes, well, yeah. But anyway, as I was coming out the womb, the doctors were pulling on my head too hard, like that, they was delivering me. And my mother told me that my father looked at me and said, they messed my baby up just like that. You know what I mean? You know how parents are about their children. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? They messed my baby up, but he used the word that I don't want to put in my video. And we all know what that word it starts with. It starts with, it's a letter F. Okay, now you get the point. But anyway, because of that, it caused me to it took away my ability of being able to catch on faster, like the regular, normal other children. You see what I'm saying? And I caught on, but I caught on slower. Like you know what I'm saying? I had a problem catching on quicker. Some things you had to repeat to me over and over in order for me to get it. But nevertheless, I overcame that hump. So I'm hearing about it on Facebook that it's blowing all up on Facebook. How when my family, when they look at me now on YouTube and Facebook, and I don't know if they know if I'm on Twitter. I don't think they know if I'm on Twitter, but they'll know now if they get this video that I am on Twitter. I felt at that time, I felt like I was thrown away when I was in school because I did not have the ability. I did not take the time to use my head, because my thinking and my thoughts was in a whole nother world. You know what I'm saying? When I was younger, I'm 44 right now. And during that time, when I was young and everything, it was a different era. It wasn't like it is now. 2018 going into 2019. Like there wasn't no such thing as internet, computers, and all that kind of stuff. That stuff wasn't even nearby thought of. But today, I'm on YouTube. Today, I did not even know that I was going to be on YouTube. I didn't even know that there was going to be a search thing as YouTube. Didn't even know none of this stuff. You just don't know what the future holds. Just like I did not know that I would be here now speaking on YouTube. I never would have thought that I'd have been a broadcaster on YouTube. I never would have thought that I would have gotten this far. So I had trouble breaking words down and reading and stuff, reading on certain levels where I should have been. And the way I learned how to read, for first and foremost, is through my family members and stuff. You know what I'm saying? When I was in my 20s, when I was like, let's see, 17, between 17, 18, 19, I would listen a lot. I joined this church called the Seventh-day Adventists. I used to be a Seventh-day Adventist. Yeah, I used to be a Seventh-day Adventist, but now I honor and respect the knowledge, the truthful knowledge of what what that was given to me from the Bible, but about as far as when it comes to the diet and the Sabbath. That was taught. I learned that at the age of 17. I was in my early teens. I was an Adventist for about 19 or 20 years, but I appreciate the things that was revealed to me out of the Bible about the diet. I learned that the Most High gave the diet, the diet, the clean and unclean diet. He gave those laws to Israel. That was to help Israel, is to be governed so that they won't go astray or go wrong or anything of that nature. So they had a lady ask me when I, at the age of 17, she said, "Do you know?" It seemed like I'm all over the place, but they had a lady. Let me take the computer in here for a minute. They had a lady told me at the age of 17. She said, "Have you ever heard of a nation in the Bible called the nation of Israel?" I said, "No, I never heard of that." I was 17. She said, I said, "No, tell me more about it." So I said, "Well, show this to me in the Bible," to make the long story short. And she showed it to me in the Bible. She was an elderly woman. And I said, "I never heard this before." I said, she said, "Do you know what holy means?" I said, "No, I don't know what holy means." And from what I can remember, she said that holy meant separate. You're different. You're set aside. I said, "Oh, I didn't know that." And that's how I learned what holiness meant. You see what I'm saying? That's how I learned it. And that's why, you know what I mean? But I kind of forgot it. But it kept being reiterated. And I used to go to a lot of Bible studies when I was in the church, when I was in Advent, when I was in the Seventh Adventist church. But you know what I mean? But I would always ask questions. I did. I would always ask questions. I would be asking questions, trying to find out answers and stuff. That's the type of person, that's how I grew up. The type of person I was, I asked questions about things. You know what I mean? If I was curious about something, I always asked. My grandfather used to call me the question axe all the time, because I was always asking questions. I wanted to know. You see what I'm saying? I did this, and this happened for years. And then I finally became, when they told me, I said, "What is the Sabbath?" I said, "What is that? I never heard of that." They said, "That's a day you're supposed to go to church on." I said, "Really?" And the lady, I think from what I remember, she explained to me, it's a time that the Most High set aside for meditation and prayer. He wants you to honor him based upon the of him being the Most High and him creating this earth and heaven in 6 days. He said that, and he rested, so he wants us to honor the day of his birthday. It was kind of broke down to me like that. And I said, "Oh, that makes sense to me then." I said, "Well, I didn't even know." She said, "Do you go on Sunday?" I said, "Yeah, I do." She said, "Do you know why you go on Sunday?" I said, No, I don't know. I just know we just supposed to just pick out a day and honor the Most High." So I became a Seventh Adventist in 92. And I've been a Seventh Adventist for about 19 or 20 years. I was in the faith for about 19 or 20 years, probably a little longer, maybe about 21, 22 years. I can't remember. I have to take time and add it up. And, you know, and I was still searching, but I wasn't really asking questions as you know how you can think you know something and you don't really know something. You think you know everything, but you come to a conclusion and realize that you still needed a deeper understanding of different things. That's how it was with me. So with my reading and writing situation, my reading and writing was horrible. It was. And I had, like I said, I had my family members and all of that. You know, I used to pick up religious books all the time, but that's all I knew. And that's all I wanted to pick up. And that's all I wanted to know. And every time I would read across a word, I would have to stop and ask my family. I would have to spell the words out. And then they would be like, "Well, what is it?" I said, "Well, let me spell it to you." So that's how I learned. So I spelled it out, and they broke it down in syllables. You know what I mean? For me. And I said, I got to a point one day, I just said, "Well, I tell you what, I'm gonna get me a tape recorder, because this is what I did, because they didn't have no computers or nothing like this then. I got me a little, what is called a little tape recorder, and I had a little tape. So I said I would have my family members, people in my family, like my nephews, or if my niece was around, or my nephew was around, my brother was around, and stuff like that. Because they wasn't around all the time. They was like traveling and going out different places. But when they would come home, I would ask them. There were paragraphs in books and stuff that are a line. I said I would love to learn how to read this, and because I want to share this with people. I said, because I don't want to be pronouncing and breaking the words and breaking the words down into wrong in the wrong way, and giving people the wrong pronunciation in syllables. You know, I didn't want to be doing that. So I said, well, let me get somebody who can read it well, and that can at least read it. So when I read across the words, I would be able to understand what I'm reading. So I had help through my family members. This is how I got to where I am now. And I didn't get this in school, because I had a poor education, because I didn't apply myself. I didn't have the mindset is to really sit down and ask questions, because when you're young, you're not really thinking about, oh, how important education is. But when you're very young, you're not thinking like an adult. And I wasn't thinking like an adult. I was thinking like a teenager, you know, I was 17 years old, but really I was like a 1-year-old or 2-year-old at 17. Really I was. You know what I mean? So my family worked with me. You know what I'm saying? They worked with me. You know, the only time that they couldn't really help me out with a lot of things is that a lot of my family members, they had to work. You know, they was put in positions where they had to go to work at that moment, or either they would be like, well, I would have to do it when I come home. I don't have time right now, but I will come back when I will take the time opportunity and do it. Or sometimes even if they had time or something like that, they would help me within about maybe 20, 30 minutes before leaving and going to work themselves. I said, okay, that'll be good then. I said, all right, okay. So that was my opportunity. They would put everything on tape for me, and I went back and I would listen to a lot of the stuff on the tape and stuff, listen to the words that, you know what I mean? Because I didn't want to be pronouncing the words wrong, because it would be misleading people if you're doing that, because you have to give people the right information. You see what I'm saying? So I grew and I gotten better. Now I'm to the place now where I'm pretty perfect at what I do. Have you ever heard people say practice make perfect? Well, that's what happened with me then. That's a true saying. Practice make perfect. You know what I mean? I'm still improving a lot, you know, in a lot of my ways. I just thought that I'll just try to take time and just break down and give you a little background of how I grew up and how I got to from where I was to where I am now. So, you know, it's no more than right for me to give you all in background how I grew up and where I come from, and some of the things and how my life was when I was coming up. You see what I'm saying? Like I said, I get my brothers to help me out, you know, and everything. And they helped me out when they got the opportunity. And I took that opportunity. I said, well, what you got to do right now? Oh, well, I ain't doing that right now. They said, okay, well, no problem, brother. Whatever. I put it on. I'll take care of this for you. You know what I mean? Or either sometimes I would get a book. And I remember I used to ask my baby brother is to read stuff to me from what I can remember. I would get him, I would say, man, look, can you read this book off, bro? I must have been about maybe 12, 13, something like that, you know. And but anyway, I grow people, and I overcame, you know, pretty much. And I can say I'm in a good position right now. Because I used to be frustrated when I couldn't catch on like I really wanted to. You know what I mean? It was a horrible feeling for me. You know what I mean? So as I the moral of this whole thing and all this stuff I'm telling y'all is this: if you don't like something about yourself, if you really want to change it, you got to change it yourself. You got to say, I don't want to be like this no more. You got to. It's same thing applies to drugs. If you don't want to be dealing with drugs and all that kind of stuff, we know that so-called white men put that in our communities and stuff. I'm not gonna let them off the hook.
But if you don't want to be on something like that, no, and things of that nature, if you don't want to be on drugs and all that kind of stuff, if you don't want to be doing certain things, it's all about the mindset. You know what I mean? You know, you can change that. You know what I mean? So if you don't like something about yourself, just the same thing if you're overweight. If you are overweight and you don't like being as big as you are, or you don't like being 350 pounds or whatever, guess what you can do? Well, then if you don't like something, then you have to work on that work to change it. Just say, I don't want to be like this no more, and start working on it. And guess what? Before you know it, within about 3 to 4 to 5 months, you look around, you be like, whoa, I'm not like that no more. You know, so just take what you just have to improve yourself every day. And when you work on it, then before you know it, you'll be within about maybe 5 or 6 months from now, you'll be surprised. You may be a billionaire. You may be this, or you may be whatever. You may want to go to a, like I want to go to a learning school one day. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a lawyer. I want to be this and I want to be that. You know, you can be it. And you can be anything you want to be when you put your mind to it. Anything you want to do, anything that you put your mind to, you can do it. We can do it as a people of color. Now, even though I was attacked like that doing birth or whatever, the Most High, He's still, it's not going to stop the gifts. The gifts are still there. He's not going to let what the enemy done to you attack it. The attack on you mentally and you keeping you from catching on is not going to stop the gifts that is in you. It's just like a person that, like myself, a person that don't know how to read or write or whatever. It's not going to stop the ability to be able to sing. The gifts are still there. But anyway, I think I said enough on that part. But the video is entitled, "It's Weird We as a People of Color Wasn't Taught Our Nationality." Now, the reason we wasn't taught our nationality, I can jump on into the video now, is because we living under the system of white supremacy. Do y'all know that African American was created by a white man by the name of Leo Anacondas in 1985? 1985. This was like in the mid 80s, somewhere like in the early 80s, mid 80s, whatever. That's what we was taught. And all these names that we have, like African American, Afro American, Africa, and America was created by a white man versus African was created by a so-called white man. Do y'all know that when you name yourself in African America, you're naming yourself after two white men, and you're naming yourself after two pedophiles? Do y'all know that the Seventh-day Adventist Church, the name, all of that, it was created in 1863 by a so-called white man by the name of James. The first name is James, and I think the last name is James Bate or something like that, and James White. This was created, the Seventh-day Adventist Church was formed in the early 1840s. In 1863, it was cultivated into a denomination. And then you had what was called the so-called fake Jews and the African people in the 17th century or the 13th century. What they did, they came and converted to Christianity and tried to become Jews. Now, let me break this a little bit more down about nationality, because that's what I want to talk about, nationality. because the Israelites in the Bible are the real Jews of the Bible. They are the real Jews of the Bible. The Israelites are. Now let me explain. You got the nation of Amalek. Amaleks are the so-called Jews that's living over there in Jerusalem right now. Those are the fake Jews. They are the fake Jews. We are the real Jews. We are the real Hebrew Israelites, according to the Bible. Now, here's a thing that catches most people. Everybody, the Israelites and the non-Jew. Gentile means a non-Israelite, a non-Jew. So when you got the non-Israelites and you have the Israelites, can you be a Chinese? It would be just like if you go to China and you are a regular, let's say your father is Creole and your mother is a so-called African American black woman, and your father is a so-called African American Creole. If your mother and your father decide to go to China in a hotel and have you there, and you be born and raised in the hospitals over in China, would that make you a Chinese? No, it's not going to make you a Chinese, because you have to remember, it goes by your DNA. You see what I'm saying? If I want to adopt a child, that's still not going, no matter how much I say that's my real child, that child is not going to be my real child by adoption. It's not going to make him a real Jew in my family. Why? Because the DNA. You see what I'm saying? If you go and plant an apple tree in China and go and plant another apple tree in Libya, what kind of fruit you still going to get? It's still going to be an apple tree. No matter where you go and plant your seed at, or what state or city you go and plant your seed at, or overseas, you still going to be an apple tree. Your DNA is still going to be what it is. No matter how. If I go and try to say, ask a Chinese man is to adopt me to be a Chinese, that's still not going to make me a Chinese by blood. Genetically, it's not. Whether he adopt me or not. No, it's not going to make me be that. Because in order for you to be a Chinese, you have to be like that by blood. It has to be in your DNA, because your DNA tells you who you are. Just like a non-Jew cannot convert to being a spiritual Jew. He can't do it. So that goes into a whole nother topic or whatever. It's just like, yeah, I'm trying to make it real kind of simple. Like a person who, let me see if I can do it. Let's go like this. It's like my mother. She can't go out there and call another person her child if that child didn't literally come out of her womb. She can adopt him. She can adopt another woman as her daughter. She can adopt another man as her son. But it's not going to make that child be part of her real DNA. Convert that child and make that child be your real child. He's still not going to be your real child. If that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Because one thing about DNA, it ain't gonna lie. Y'all remember the story in the Bible, Abraham, before he had any children, Genesis 15, he wanted children, and he adopted Eliezer, the priest, and the Most High told him, he says, your child that you're going to have, it's going to come out of your own bowels. He said, the seed I'm going to give you is going to come out of your own bowels. And Abraham had a son. Now, this is what people need to really understand. The Most High said, in Isaac shall thy seed be called. He said the children of the promise accounted for the seed. If your name is not on that 12 tribe chart, then you is not an Israelite, no matter what you do. You can't be an Israelite if you are not of that seed. Just like a woman or a man, if they have 5 children and you are not that biological child, no matter how they adopt you and say that that child is theirs, it's not going to make that child's bloodline be your part of your blood. No, it's not. Yeah, it's not. So I guess I'll get up and go in the room, finish it off in there. Ouch. Kind of hit my toe a little bit. But I said a lot. I don't know how this video is going to come out. So let us go to Genesis 15. Yeah, we just dealing with the history. Genesis chapter 15 and verse 1. After these things, the word of the Lord came unto Abram. Now remember, his name was Abram before he became Abraham. And the Lord came unto Abram in a vision, saying, fear not, Abram, I am thy shield, and thy excellent great reward. And Abram said, Lord God, what wilt thou give me, seeing I go childless? That means he don't have no children, childless. And the steward of my house is this Eliezer Damascus. And Abram said, behold, to me thou hast given no seed, and lo, one born in my house is my heir. And verse 4, it said, and behold, the word of the Lord came unto him, saying, okay, I'm pretty sure this was the second time. This shall not be thy heir, to my Eliezer, but he that shall come forth out of thy own bowels shall be thy heir. And he brought him forth abroad and said, look now toward heaven. And he brought him forth abroad and said, look now toward heaven, and tell the stars if thou be able to number them. And he said unto him, so shall thy seed be. And he believed in the Lord, and he counted it to him for righteousness. And he said unto him, I am the Lord that brought thee out of Ur of the Chaldeans to give thee this land to inherit it. Now you have to remember, Abram came from an idol worshiping family, but the Most High chose Abraham.
out of all of the other nations, he chose him. And he said, Lord God, whereby shall I know that I shall inherit it? And he said unto him, take me an heifer of 3 years old, and a she goat of 3 years old, and a ram of 3 years old, and a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. And he took unto him all these and divided them in the midst, and laid each piece one against another. But the birds devoured the birds divided he not. And when the fowls came down upon the carcass, Abram drove them away. And when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and lo, and horror of great darkness fell upon him. And he said unto Abram, know of a surety. It said, first it says, and when the sun was gone down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and lo, and horror of great darkness fell upon him. And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger. This is what people need to understand. See, when people say, the Gentiles shall come to thy light, because the Israelites will choose to rebel and go. Now they ain't gonna choose. He said, know of a surety that thy seed shall be, it shall be a stranger in the land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. It didn't say they shall choose to be afflicted. The Most High, this was a prophecy. All of this is dealing with how our people is being shot down in the middle of the streets by the so-called white man in Egypt. Now, this was ancient Egypt, but it's also speaking of modern day Egypt, such as in 2018. A lot of our people is getting shot down in the street. Eric Garner got killed. Dylan Roof went into a church in 2015 and shot and killed 9 black people in cold blood, right? So look what the Most High said. And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve, I will judge, and afterward shall they come out with great substance. And thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace. Thou shalt be buried in a good old age. But in the 4th generation they shall come hither again, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. Now, the Amorites is talking about a whole nother nation. It's like talking about the African nation and the Egyptian, all them other nations. And it shall come to pass that when the sun went down and it was dark, and behold, a smoking furnace and a burning lamp that passed between these pieces. In the same day, the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, unto thy seed have I given this land, from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates. And in the same day, the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, unto thy seed have I given this land, and from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates. The Kittites and the Kittites and the Kittimotites and the Hittites and the Perizzites and the Rephaims and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Gershites, and the Jebusites. See, the Most High said that he will give Abraham and his seed the land of their enemies. That's what he's saying. He said he would give them the land of their enemies. But up there, he said, they shall afflict them 400 years. So the Messiah, God prophesied that we will be going into captivity. And he prophesied that we will be, that a lot of our people will go through persecution and be shot down in the street by the so-called white man. Yeah. So let me just jump over here into Exodus. Let me go to Exodus. I got to pull up a couple of things that's dealing with our history. Because a lot of people say that God, the Most High, don't separate. All right. Let's look at Exodus chapter 4. I'm going to have to start here to get. Okay, I'll tell you what. Remember what I read in Genesis 15 where it talks about after Abraham, they would serve their bondage for 400 years. They will come out with great substance, and they will take the land that belongs to them, the land of Canaan and all that kind of stuff, when they was on their way to the promised land. Listen to this here. In Exodus chapter 11:1, and the Lord said unto Moses, yet I will bring one plague more upon Pharaoh and upon Egypt. Afterward, he will let you go. Hence, he will let you go hence. And when he shall let you go, he shall surely thrust you out hence altogether. Speak now in the ears of the people, and let every man borrow of his neighbor, and every woman of her neighbor, jewels of silver and jewels of gold. And the Lord gave the people favor, talking about the Israelites, in the sight of the Egyptians. Moreover, the man, Moses, was very great in the land of Egypt, and in the sight of Pharaoh's servants, and in the sight of the people. Do y'all know that Moses had a speech problem? That's why I said, and the man was very great in the land of Egypt. And the Lord gave unto the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians. Moreover, the man Moses was very great. The man Moses was very great in the land of Egypt. He said he was very great in the land of Egypt, in the sight of Pharaoh's servants, and in the sight of the people. And Moses said, thus said the Lord, about midnight. And Moses said, thus said the Lord, about midnight, I will go out unto the midst of Egypt, and all the firstborn in the land of Egypt shall die, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that setteth upon his throne, even unto the firstborn of the manservant that is behind the male, and all the firstborn of beasts. And there shall be a great cry throughout all the land of Egypt, such as there was none like it, nor shall be like any more. But against any of the children of Israel, shall not a dog move his tongue against man or beast, that ye may know how that the Lord does put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel. So he favored Israel more. He don't favor them other nations. You see what I'm saying? He said, but against the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue against man or beast, that ye may know how that the Lord put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel. So a lot of people tell you that God don't separate. Yes, he does. And all of these thy servants shall come down unto me and bow down themselves unto me, saying, Get thee out, and all of the people that followed thee, and after that I will go out. And he went out from Pharaoh in a great anger. And the Lord said unto Moses, Pharaoh shall not hearken unto you, that my wonders may be multiplied in the land of Egypt. And Moses and Aaron did all these wonders before Pharaoh. And the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart so that he would not let the children of Israel go out of his land. The Bible says that the Most High hardened Pharaoh's heart. If you read verse 12, just read the rest of it, and you will see that who God had mercy on. Okay, let's look at Isaiah chapter 14. I want y'all to remember this now. Job. Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 1. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. Okay, all these other nations, Israel is going to possess them. Now, remember this part here. It says, I'm going to read verse 1 again. Remember what I read in Genesis chapter 15, where it says, Genesis chapter 15 and verse 13. And he said unto Abram, Know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. He said, Know of a surety, in verse 13 of Genesis chapter 15, 13. He said unto Abram, Know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs. So let's look right here. Okay, let's look. Romans chapter 10, verse 1. Brethren, my heart and desire in prayer to God for Israel is that they might be saved. For I bear them record that they have a zeal of God, but not according to knowledge. For they being ignorant of God's righteousness and going about to establish their own righteousness, have not submitted themselves unto the righteousness of God. See, when he said they're going about to establish their own righteousness, when Paul went to Rome and he went into every country, every city, the Greeks, and all of those people, he went to different nations. Because remember, Israel was scattered all over the place. They were scattered. It wasn't talking about non-Israelites. It was talking about his people was scattered everywhere. Acts. Acts chapter 7. Acts chapter 7 and verse 6. And God spake on this wise, that his seed should sojourn in a strange land, and they that shall bring them unto bondage, and entreat them evil 400 years. This is still talking about Genesis chapter 15 and verse 13. And the nation to whom they shall be in bondage, I will judge, and God judge, said God. And after that shall they come forth and serve me in this place. And he gave him the covenant of circumcision. And so Abraham begot Isaac and circumcised him the 8th day. And Isaac begot Jacob, and Jacob begot the 12 patriarchs. And the patriarchs moved with envy and sold Joseph unto Egypt. But God was with him and delivered him out of all his affliction, and gave him favor and wisdom in the sight of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And he made him governor over Egypt and all his house. See, this is talking about because our people was afflicted by the Europeans. Then you have these other nations came in, and it helped. It made us go against our own people. Now there came a daring over all the land of Egypt and Canaan, and great affliction, and our fathers found no substance. But when Jacob heard that there was corn in Egypt, he sent out our fathers first. So all of this is dealing with Jacob, is dealing only with the 12 patriarchs. You see what I'm saying? So let's go to in Acts, where I want to see if I want to show y'all that Israel was scattered all over. Acts chapter 2. Acts chapter 2 and verses 3. And there appeared unto them clothed tongues like as of fire, and it set upon each of them. And they were all filled with the Holy Ghost, and began to speak with other tongues as the Spirit gave them utterance. Now, this is talking about Israel. And there was dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men, out of every nation under heaven. Now, see, it was Jews. It says, and there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men, out of every nation under heaven. When it say out of every nation under heaven, this was talking about these other nations, Israel, because Paul had to go into all of these corners of the earth is to get Israel from being scattered from all over the country. If you read in Deuteronomy 28, it will tell you, it tells you, it says that the Lord will scatter his people from one end of the earth even unto the other end of the earth. Let's get that right quick. And then we will go back and we'll explain Acts. Deuteronomy 28. Deuteronomy 28. Let's see here. Okay. Deuteronomy 28. Deuteronomy 28 and 15. It said, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I commanded thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Okay. Okay. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people. This is talking about the curses of us. So that thou shalt be mad for the sight of thy eyes, which thou shalt see. Okay, and the Lord shall smite thee in the knees and in the legs with of a sore bunch that cannot be healed, from the sole of thy foot unto the top of thy head. And thou shalt bring thee and the kings which thou shalt set over thee unto a nation, neither thou nor thy fathers have not known, and there thou shalt serve other gods, wood and stone. Now listen to this here. This is talking about how the nation of Israel was scattered in all of the countries in every part, Spain, Italy, Germany. You have over in the Virgin Islands, Trinidad, you have our people scattered in every part. There's 18 nations in the world, right? There's 18 nations. And Israel is scattered everywhere. That's what it's saying. So he said, the Most High said that he would have to raise his prophets up, and he would have to send his prophets to go into every parts of the world and gather his people. You see what I'm saying? He said, and Exodus, Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 36. And the Lord shall bring thee and thy kings which thou shalt set over thee, unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have not known. And there shalt thou serve other gods, wood and stone. That means we will go, and because we'll go to these other countries, and we will have to serve these other nations. We will have to bow down to all these our enemies. That's why the Most High said that He is going to deliver us from the hand of all that oppress us. That's in Luke, in Luke chapter 1 and verse 68. That's why He said we shall be saved from our enemy. He says, let me read that again in Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 36. And the Lord shall bring thee and thy kings, and thy king which thou shalt set over thee, unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have not known. And there shalt thou serve other gods, wood and stone. And thou shalt become, and listen to this here, and thou shalt become a astonishment and a proverb and a byword amongst all nations, whether the Lord shall lead thee. See, because we were disobedient, the Most High said that He was going to, because we refused to follow the laws and the statutes of the Most High God, He said that He was going to take and scatter us into all these other countries and let our enemies rule over us. See, the reason why we're in the condition that we're in now as a people of color is because we have broken the law, the laws and the statutes of the Most High. And what He did, it made God so mad. He took and sent our enemies against us. This is the reason why we're getting shot down in the streets too, as well. You see what I'm saying? So what He did, this was His way of chastising Israel. And He said that we will serve our enemies. You see what I'm saying? And this is what we're doing. And thou shalt become an astonishment and a proverb, meaning that we will be called, this is how we got the name nigger, coon, and all of that. We will become astonishment to all of the other nations. That means the other nations will look at us and they will be shocked to see us in the condition that we're in. Because you ever wonder why we as a black people, we are so-called black people, we're at the bottom and all the other nations is on the top. We as a people of color over at the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are in a bad condition right now. And that's why it says all these other nations will look at us and we will become astonishment and a proverb and a byword amongst all the nations, whether the Lord shall lead thee. And thou shalt carry much seed out in the field, and shall gather but little, for the locusts shall consume it. Thou shalt plant vineyards and dress them, but thou shalt neither drink of the wine nor gather the grapes, for the worms shall eat them. That means we will not prosper when we plant seed in the field. Thou shalt have olive trees throughout all thy coasts, but thou shalt not anoint thyself with oil, for thy oil shall cast his fruit. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. This is talking about us. That means because we disobeyed the Most High, that means our children, we are under this curse right now. We are under the curse. And that's why the Most High said He's going to come back here and He's going to set us in our own land. And our land is Israel. This is not our homeland over here in America. This so-called America is Babylon. Right now, we are in Babylon right now. We are yet this day, we're still in our captivity. And I'm going to pull a scripture up with that if I have to come in another video and break that down. It said, thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. That means jail. Have you ever wondered why the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are being put in jail? Yeah. All thy trees and fruit of thy land shall the locusts consume. The stranger that is within thee shall get above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. That's talking about us. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. Who we have to go to? Who is giving us this water and stuff? We have to go to our enemies to get our driver's license. We have to go to our enemy to get a birth certificate. And who is that enemy? The so-called white man. Who are the people that are in power? The so-called white man. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. Ain't our people? That's talking about our people being in the condition that they in. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee and overtake thee, until thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever, because thou servest not the Lord thy God with joyfulness, and with gladness of heart, for the abundance of all things. So let me go to I know I'm going kind of slow because of my voice. Jeremiah chapter 4. Hold on, yeah. Trying to give my voice time to rest. This scripture can go along with it. Genesis 50, verse 33. Thus said the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them. First, they refused to let them go. Their Redeemer is strong. The Lord of hosts is his name. He shall thoroughly plead their cause, that he may give rest to the land and in the inhabitation of Babylon. A sword is upon the Chaldeans, said the Lord, and upon the inhabitation of Babylon, and upon her princes, and upon her wise men. That means that Babylon, America, is going to be destroyed with nuclear bombs. All right. It may take me a while. I think I had marked it down too. I did. See, because Israel all right, let's look. This might be it right here. Thus said the Lord, refrain thy voice from weeping, and thy eyes from tears, for thy work shall be rewarded, said the Lord, and they shall come again from the land of the enemy. Okay, well, that's not the original one I'm looking for. I'll make it longer. Okay, here we go. Remember how the Apostle Paul, I told y'all that the Apostle Paul went to Rome, he went to Greece, and he went to go and speak unto the nations, and he went to other countries, and he said that he would go and gather us out of all these other countries. Now look right here. Like let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. And there appeared unto them clothed tongues like as of fire, and it set upon each of them. And they were all filled with the Holy Ghost and began to speak with other tongues as the Spirit gave them utterance. And there was dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men out of every nation under heaven. This was talking about the Israelites. Paul went strictly for only the Israelites. Now, a lot of people would take this to say that God, the Most High, loves everybody, and he was talking about saving all of the other nations. But if you can clearly see that he was only dealing with Israel. Now, when this was noised abroad, and the multitudes came together, and they were confounded, because that every man heard them speak in his own language. And they were all amazed and marveled, saying one to another, behold, are not all these which speak Galileans? How hear we every man in our own tongue wherein we were born? The Parthians and Medes and the Elamites and the, I don't even know how to even say that, Elamites, eliminate, I don't know, and the dwellers in Mesopotamia and Judea and Cappadocia and Pontus and Asia, Paraphinge and the Parthilium in Egypt and the parts of Libya, about Cyrene and Cyrene and strangers of Rome, Jews and proselytes, Greeks and Arabians, we do hear them speak. We do hear them speak in our tongues the wonderful works of God. And they were all amazed and were in doubt, saying one to another, what meaneth this? Others mocked, said, these men are full of new wine. But Peter, standing up with the 11, lifted up his voice and said unto them, ye men of Judea, and all ye that dwell at Jerusalem, be this known unto you, and hearken to my words. For these are not drunken, as supposing, seeing it is but the third hour of the day. But this is that which was spoken by the prophet Joel. And it shall come to pass in the last days, said God, I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your young men shall see visions, and your old men shall dream dreams. and also and on my servants and on my handmaidens, and I will pour out in those days of my spirit, and they shall prophesy. And I will show wonders in heaven above and signs in the earth beneath, blood and fire and vipers of smoke. The sun shall be turned unto darkness and the moon into blood before that great and notable day of the Lord cometh. And it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call on the name of the Lord shall be saved. Okay, look what it says here. Ye men of Israel, hear these words. Jesus of Nazareth, a man approved of God amongst you by the miracles and wonders and signs which God did by him in the midst of you, as ye yourselves also know. Now notice in verse 22, it says, ye men of Israel, hear these words, Jesus of Nazareth. So he was talking only to the Israelites. Now, when it says whosoever, that whosoever was only talking about the elect. It was only dealing with the elect. Okay, now let's go to, I noticed a couple other things I got to break down. It says, woe be unto the pastors that destroy and scatter the sheep of my pastors, said the Lord. Therefore, thus said the Lord, God of Israel, against the pastors that feed my people, ye have scattered my flock and driven them away, and have not visited them. Behold, I will visit upon you the evil of your doings, said the Lord, and I will gather the remnant of my flock out of all these countries. See, he's not really concerned about the other nations. He's only concerned about the nation of Israel. Hold on, let me do. He said, and I will gather the remnant of my flock out of all these countries, whether I have driven them, and I will bring them again to their folds, and they shall be fruitful and increase. And I will set up shepherds over them, which shall feed them, and they shall fear no more, nor be dismayed, neither shall they be likened, said the Lord. Behold, the days come, said the Lord, that I will raise unto David a righteous branch, and a king shall reign and prosper, and shall execute judgment and justice in the earth. In his days Judah shall be saved, and Israel shall dwell safely. And this is his name, whereby he shall be called the Lord our righteousness. Therefore, behold, the days come, said the Lord, that they shall no more say, the Lord liveth, which brought us up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. For the Lord liveth, which led the seed of the house of Israel out of the north country, and from all countries, whether I had dwelled, whether I have driven them, and they shall dwell in their own land. They shall dwell in their own land. Where is our holy land? Jerusalem. Let me show you in Acts. I mean, not Acts, I'm sorry. Galatians. Galatians chapter 4. No, wait a minute. It's not 4, I don't believe. Oh, I went too far over, my bad. Galatians chapter 4 and verse 26. But Jerusalem, which is above, is free, from but Jerusalem, which is above, is free, which the mother of us all. But Jerusalem, which is above, is free, which is the mother of us all. Let me read that again. Galatians chapter 4. Galatians chapter 4 and verse 26. But Jerusalem, which is above, is free, which is the mother of us all. Let's go back. What I just read here. Jeremiah chapter 23 and verse 8. Jeremiah 23 and verse 8. But the Lord liveth, which brought up, which led the seed of the house of Israel out of the north country, from all countries. This is what Acts chapter 2 is talking about. Whether I had driven them. See, driven the reason why we went and all these other countries, guess what those nations are to Israel? We would have, because we disobeyed God, we had to go off and we had to serve our enemy. All these other countries are our enemy. This is the reason why it says that we will serve our enemies. And we will become an astonishment to the other nations. And we will become a proverb and a byword, according to Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 37. What did I say? Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 37. This one here is Jeremiah 23 and verse 8. But the Lord liveth, which brought up, which led the seed of it, which led the seed of the house of Israel out of north country, from all countries. See, it's not talking, it says, let me read it again, because I want to make sure y'all get it. But the Lord liveth, which brought up, which led the seed of the house of who? Israel. Out of the north country, out of the north country. So the Most High went and he said that he was going to gather his people from all these other nations, from amongst them, and from all countries, whether I had driven them, and they shall dwell in their own land. And what did I just read in Galatians chapter 4 and verse 26? He says, and they shall dwell in their own land. He said, but the Lord liveth, which brought up, which led the seed of the house of Israel out of the country, whether out of the north country, from all countries, from all countries, from all countries, whether I had driven them, and they shall dwell in their own land. See, right now we're not in our own land. Guess what our land is, people? And I want all my families to listen to me good. Our homeland is Jerusalem, Israel. That's our homeland. See, our ancestors that got off them slave ships, they was brought over here. They was brought over here. It wasn't no choice. Don't believe people when they go around and tell you, oh, slavery was a choice. Because you mean to tell me you're gonna sit up here, and all the people that's saying this here, that's nonsense. Saying that slavery was a choice. Well, guess what? If our ancestors wouldn't have fought, because they choose to fight back, you're gonna say that was a choice? That would be stupid to say that, because guess what? If it wasn't for them fighting for me, I wouldn't be able to be here. So how can I go around and say slavery was a choice? If it wasn't for your ancestors, you wouldn't even be here. Just like the other guy, he said, how would your goof his tail be here? How was you able to be here? If you say slavery was a choice, if our ancestors wouldn't have fought, then we wouldn't exist. If they wouldn't have did what they did. But I want y'all to listen to this. And the reason why I keep reading it over and over, because I don't want this to go over people's head. But I just want to take time and make sure that when you read this here, y'all understand. When people watch this video, I want people to watch this and say, you know what? He's taking his time and breaking it down. And I really understand where he's coming from. And I'm hopefully you all get a good understanding of this, because it is my job is to make sure that you all understand this. Jeremiah chapter 23 and verse 8. But the Lord liveth, which led the seed of the house of Israel out of the north country, and from all countries, whether I had driven them, and they shall dwell in their own land. Let me go back to the New Testament now and show y'all this here. Galatians chapter 4 and verse 26. But Jerusalem, which is above, is free, which is the mother of us all, the Israelites. So all these nations that afflicted the people of God, the children of Israel, which were the elect people, guess what's going to happen to those enemies, which is the so-called white man? Be not deceived, God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. They're going to reap what they sow. I'm going to have to do a part 2 another time, a part 3. And show y'all who the nation of people are that will be destroyed for putting our people of color in the condition that they are. So, remember what Acts was saying. When it talks about that we heard them speaking in their own language, the wonderful works of God. Notice that you had Israelites scattered all over the world, just like you have Israelites in Germany, you have Israelites in Greece, you have Israelites in North Africa, you have Israelites in South Africa, West Africa, and East Africa. Yes. You have Israelites over in the other countries of Arabs. You have Israelites in China. Yep. That's right. So let's look at since it's on my mind. Okay, this is Matthew. He was speaking in parables. And if you read it carefully, he was talking about the elect. Matthew's chapter 13 and verse 10. And the disciples came and said unto him, Why speakest thou unto them in parables? And he answered and said unto them, Because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. See, the Most High said, the parables are given to the Israelites. That's why he said, why speakest to them in parables? That's right. So his word is only given to Israel. So if you don't believe that, let's go to Revelation. Hold on. It takes too long. I'll be strapping page. It takes so long to find. I hate to be turning. But I guess you have to do that to make people understand, because people, okay, let's see if it's going to mention any of the other nations, like the Chinese, the Moabites, the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites. Let's see. Because the salvation is given to no other nation. Let's look at Revelation chapter 21, verse 12. And let's look at 11. Having the glory of God, her light was like unto a stone most precious, even like a jasper stone, clear as crystal. And he had a wall great and high, and had 12 gates, and at the gates 12 angels, and the names written thereon, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. That's Revelation chapter 21, verse 12. The names that's written on the 12 gates are only for the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. Let's look at Hebrews chapter 10. Hebrews chapter 10 and verse 16. This is the covenant that I will make with them after those days, said the Lord. I will put my laws into their hearts, and in their minds will I write them. Let's go to Hebrews chapter 8 and verse 8. Hebrews chapter 8, verse 8. For he findeth fault with them. He said, behold, the days come, said the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt, because they continued not in my covenant, and I regarded them not, said the Lord. For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, said the Lord. I will put my laws into their minds and write them in their hearts, and I will be to them a God, and they shall be my people. He said, they shall be my people. He didn't say all shall be, he said they. That's talking about all of the people who were scattered throughout all the other regions. And I'm going to get into that and break that down a little bit more. This was a part 2. It's weird as we as a people of color wasn't taught our nationality. And our nationality, real nationality, is Hebrew Israelite. My voice is kind of, let me drink some water. Mm-hmm. Hold on, y'all. I'll be back. Hold on, I'll be back. Let me go up in here right quick. All right, I'm back. What I'm trying to do is practice getting in the bed earlier. Before I close the video out, let me see if my video will play. I'm pretty sure that yeah, it's probably you can hear me from. I'm pretty sure that yeah, it's probably you can hear me from. I'm pretty sure that yeah, yeah, they can hear me. Hold on, let me sign back in on here on my first account. Oops, I just signed into the wrong one. Hold on, people. Yep. So I guess it's time for me to rest my voice. Hold on, wait a minute. I know. Okay, I get. Yeah, I took it off. Well, I'm gonna have to get my throat better. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Let me see what they saying about Google. What is the Adrian app? Yeah, hold on, wait a minute. Must be somebody else watching me right now. Oops. Trying to go on YouTube on my other channel. Right now, I'm just taking a break. Let me see if I can switch accounts. They got something here called 120 Bible hymns while you shop or whatever. It's 8 months ago though. Yeah. Hold on. Okay, wait a minute. Let me go inside. If anybody else is watching this, um, I don't know what to say. Who's watching? Oh, I don't think they. I don't even know how many minutes this video is. I'm about to hear them get into bed too. Hold on. Let me see. It give you different options. Whoops. Well, lets people know. Yeah, I just wanted to mess around a little bit. I had to let my voice rest up a little bit. I'm looking at something. I don't. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and cut it off. I'm gonna see y'all later. We'll come back with a part 3. It's weird as a people of color. People of color wasn't taught their nationality.